Yo, what's up? It's Cory Talaska here. We're back here for another vlog. What we are doing today is getting the Pro car on the ground. FD STL is next week, so this thing's ready. I'm just gonna put the wheels on, get it off the jack stands, and then just roll it forward. Garage is kind of a mess right now because we're in the process of moving, but I'm gonna roll this forward, open up a base spot right here so I can bring in the E46 and I can do some work to that. I gotta try to fix it. It runs like crap, and I think it's just a simple sensor. So but unfortunately, to get to the sensor, you have to pull off the whole intake. But I'm gonna replace a couple things while we do that at the same time. So two birds with one stone, I guess. So let's go. Alright, so I got the E46 in the garage. Battery was dead. I had to let it charge for a little bit, drove it in. And what we are doing is replacing the sensor that's right back there. I can't get to it in any reliable fashion without removing the intake. So that's what we have to do. So I'm going to start pulling stuff off. I got to pull the air box, some of the plastics off, the cross brace, to be able to have access to get the remaining parts out. We're going to replace both that sensor and the idle air control valve, just in case that's what's maybe causing an issue too. And then hopefully everything goes back in pretty smooth. And then the way we're going to test that it worked or not is I'm going to clear the code in the car. And what I kind of diagnosed before is that if I turn the car on and it starts great, idle's fine, everything's beautiful, and then as soon as the car kind of gets up to temperature, then suddenly, boom, it starts like running like crap. And I've replaced a bunch of stuff already, and I've kind of narrowed it down to where I think it's that sensor now. That's a common issue that's on the internet. You know, I've already done the no-brainer stuff like plugs, coils, all the other coolant sensors you can get to, changed oil, kind of done all that, made sure everything's clean. So now we're gonna do the little bit more tedious part and hope it works. Okay, so I got the intake out. It has all, from the factory, it has these little clips that are not reusable that you have to pop off. I'm going to replace these with hose clamps. The key thing with the hose clamps that you need to make sure is that, so this is, like this all moves for throttle opening because of all ITBs. So you just need to make sure that the hose clamp does not get in the way of this, anything that could hit this. So you just need to make sure that it's all clocked away so it's not interfering anything. That's the main point, to make sure replace all these clips with hose clamps without interfering anything. Now also, so the whole point was to get to that sensor right there. So we're gonna pull that out and put the new sensor in with minimal water coming out, hopefully. And then we're also going to replace this because it looks like this is, never been replaced either, which is the idle air control valve, which is, we're going to replace that as well. It's got a couple fitting pieces that are also crimped, and we're going to replace those with hose clamps also. So I'll make sure to cover also how exactly I got this out. You see this bracket right here? So there's two 10 mil bolts, just small 10 mils that you can get from right here once you kind of slide the dipstick to the other side of the power steering reservoir. The only other thing is you got to unclip this right here, which is for the bottom part of the ICV. And that's pretty much it, aside from actually removing all these little clips. Now to remove that, or get to that, I did remove like the little weather sill, which all that is this piece right here is held in to the back with some T30 Torx. That's it. You literally pull the plastic off, unclip your wiring here, take those four bolts out, and the whole thing comes out, so you can get to everything. And then all I did was take a flathead screwdriver and kind of basically just pop it underneath that part of the clip and just pry it and it pops out. You just have to be super, super careful not to actually puncture any of this, because you could just put a hole through this and then you have a way bigger issue. Now you got to replace all this, which that's not super exciting. Which these clamps as well are not removable. They're the crimped on ones. So now I got my Rock Auto boxes. I'm going to replace the ICV and that sensor, and then get my hose clamps ready to replace, put this stuff back on the ICV and put the intake back in. So here is the new sensor. Make sure you don't forget to actually use the small crush washer that it comes with. So I didn't realize that the ICV that I bought, which is used by the way, but it's bought off eBay, and I still think mine is, something's wrong with it. So better used one is going to be better than a non-working used one. So it actually had all the hoses still attached, which is sick. So literally all I did was replace it and, you know, unhook the vacuum line that's down here and the plug, and so everything's good. The coolant sensor replaced super easy. I just basically unscrewed it, did a quick wipe to make sure nothing was there, screwed it back in, hooked everything back up. Looking pretty good. This is honestly going a little bit smoother than I anticipated, but the fun part will be is getting this back in, because you have to also get, if you see, and I didn't notice it till now, but there's this little tiny drain that has to pop back into the bottom of the intake. So I'm probably going to try to like pop this in before securing it. And then I have my pops picking me up some more. I need 4 more 2.5-inch hose clamps. So these are just, you know, your standard like radiator style hose clamps. 2.5-inch OD works super good. There isn't a bunch of excess. It fits really nice. You're not going to have to deal with, this is like a 3-inch one, and to even get it tight enough, you have this big kind of lead, which I don't really want to risk anything kind of getting in the way of moving parts. Alright, so we got the intake back in, we got the hose clamps in, they're all what I believe out of the way, so when the throttle opens, nothing's gonna hit. I did manage, it was the easiest way, that little drain that's in this back corner, try to clip it on before you have this locked on to the actual intake. It was much easier to be able to get my whole hand underneath there. Just pops on. Make sure you remember to pop on the lower part of the ICV here, the 2 10mm bolts, and that's pretty much it. The little water cool line just kind of pops in this clip back here. Make sure you secure your dipstick again, and then put your air box back on. Reconnect this, make sure everything's plugged in again, and that's pretty much it. So now here's the fun part, and we're gonna test if anything I did does anything. So regardless of this video, if it helps me, hopefully it helps you in how to take off the intake, how kind of all that stuff comes off, if you need to replace anything underneath there, or you're just trying to take the engine out, replace the sensor, the ICV, all that stuff. So let's give it a shot. Alright, so disappointingly enough, it did not fix my issue. So if any BMW S54 fanatics out there could tell me why there's nothing wrong with the engine, but I'm getting cylinder 2 and 5 misfire, and it's just basically kind of runs like crap, but sometimes it'll run perfect until it gets up to temp. I've replaced a bunch of stuff. I'm really not 100% sure what to do at this point, besides just keep kind of trying to diagnostic, but if any of you guys have any assistance, I will take it. But hopefully you guys enjoyed the video, if you guys have to work on anything like this. And yeah, St. Louis is next week. I'm super hyped. Let's get it. Like, comment, subscribe.